You know what? You gotta admire them.
What?
Well, they were excited to play a big game in front of all their fans in Toronto, and they dominated. What game were you watching? Oh, sorry, I'm talking about the Kings.
Oh.
Let's go! It starts with an A and ends with anxiety. Off the charts levels of passion! That's just a nightmare! With you wherever you are, welcome to LFR. Leafs lose 4-3 in overtime to the Los Angeles Kings, and Gary Bettman, I'm not talking to my dad, Gary Bettman, I would like to offer a suggestion, a new rule. If you're outshot by more than 20 on home ice and you lose in overtime, you have to give the point back. I know we want them to make the playoffs, right? We want this team to make the playoffs. We want them to do as well as possible. They should have to give the point back. I don't know how I'm going to make it through this season. I really don't, because there's over 60 games. That's so many games left in this season, and I can't do this every time. But you were outshot 37-15 on home ice. Oh, they didn't have Matthews. Shut up! Shut up! You've been getting outshot by that much with Matthews. Drew Doughty, after the game, after the Kings won it in overtime in Toronto, said this: in my opinion, that's not an overtime 4-3 win. We dominated the game. If you don't beat your next opponent by at least 4 goals, I have no respect for you. If the LA Kings ever score a goal against you again, I have no respect for you. Dude, the Florida Panthers dummy you in the playoffs and then go on this weird press run where they just pull your pants down and spank you in front of everybody. It was the weirdest press run I've ever seen. It wasn't good enough for the Florida Panthers that they beat the Leafs in Game 7. They had to make up Games 8, 9, and 10 and kill them there too. Boston rubbing your nose in it more than once. And now Drew Doughty, you gotta go back and watch the whole thing. He's just like, yeah, all the Toronto boys, the Ontario boys, we're so happy to play here. And you know what? Maybe we put too much pressure on ourselves. But we won and we dominated. That game went to overtime, but I don't even think about it that way. We kicked their bottom so bad. Aren't you humiliated? You make millions of dollars to do this. Aren't you embarrassed? All of you, by the way. All of you, except John. John, I hope, never has an embarrassing moment ever again in his life. Like, dude, here, let's talk about the game, because it actually went okay. There was a reason on the broadcast they were talking about the first period like it was fine. And you might look at it and go, yeah, the Leafs got out of it with a 2-0 lead, which is good. You like those. You like to hold on to those. But the Kings outshot the Leafs 9-4. You know what's crazy, though? The Leafs actually outshot the Kings at even strength. 4-2. The Leafs don't get at power plays. That's not a thing that they get. It's a sick league. Although, in their defense, it's hard to get a power play when you never have the puck. But the Kings got 7 shots on their power plays, on their 2 power plays, and Dennis Hildeby literally stood tall. But at even strength, like, the Berube Leafs were the Berube Leafs. That first period in this game, we saw so many times last season where you go, the Leafs really aren't generating much. They got a couple chances. They even converted on a few of them. But what did the other team do? Not really anything. It was a lot of rope-a-dope. I'm talking about last year. The Leafs are still taking too many penalties. We know that, and that wasn't good. But they scored a couple goals. They took advantage of a couple mistakes, and they escaped the period with a 2-0 lead on home ice. Last year, that was a death sentence for anyone coming into Toronto and playing the Leafs. Bobby McMahon strips his man, bolts down the ice. As soon as you see McMahon with 2 guys on either side, but they're not within poke-checking distance, that's a breakaway. You are not catching this man. He's one of the fastest north-south skaters in the league. Beats Darcy Kemper, not by much, but by just enough. 1-0 Leafs, yeah buddy. Later in the period, Oliver Ekman-Larsson having a great season. Primary assist, John Tavares, who gets the goal. Having a great season. You go to intermission and you're feeling good about yourself. Again, I go back to the Panthers series. The Leafs are up 2-0, I believe, on Florida in Game 3 of that series. For a while, for a brief moment, it looked like the Leafs might sweep them. But then a moment happened. I thought it was a coaching adjustment by Paul Maurice where he put Lundell and that line onto the Matthews line instead of the Barkov line because Matthews was dummying Barkov, dummying him through the first 2 games. After Paul Maurice made that adjustment, the Leafs had no answer for it. But what was torturous, and if you watched my streams, you know that I was on this every game and every time it happened, the long change in the second period. During the regular season, the Leafs were the best second period team in the league. And then there was a moment during that series where the Panthers, every time the middle frame showed up, dominated. The Leafs in the second period this year, it's an unplayable product. I mean that literally. Unpayable. Fans, 20,000 fans paid to watch that nonsense tonight. Again, don't you feel shame? The Kings outshot the Leafs. I'm gonna remind you, at home, 11-4 in the second period. The Leafs had the 1-0 penalty advantage. Foegele takes a shot. That beats Dennis Hildeby. You'd like a save there, but he had been standing on his head prior to that. I still think it might have tipped something. And then with less than 5 minutes to go in the second period, it's Kevin Fiala. How many chances are you going to allow? Hildeby was great on that play, and it still wasn't enough because the team wasn't there. And we are this close to going into the second intermission with the vibes being cataclysmic, except William Nylander, fresh off of a tongue lashing from Craig Berube for spending way too much time out there on the last shift, which is why the Leafs were so useless defensively. He sets up John Tavares, and John Tavares, who I would die for, he hasn't asked me to do it, but I would, buries it on the backhand for his second of the game. And now this is where I'm going to dig in because, okay, you escape the second period with the lead, and you can feel good about that if you escape the third period with it too. The panel on Sportsnet had a great discussion about this, and they're talking about, like, you know, Craig Berube, he was yelling at William Nylander for being lazy or whatever, making poor decisions on the second goal, which led to the second goal. But good for him for throwing him right back out there, and he helped set up John Tavares for a goal. The problem with William Nylander is not offense. In fact, I would say the problem with William Nylander is the Leafs in a nutshell. Hemorrhage shot attempts against, hemorrhage shots against, hemorrhage scoring chances against, getting caught, getting hemmed in, but hey, look at me, I scored. At the end of the day, hockey is a goal scoring contest, and it's wonderful that you're scoring. The Leafs are scoring. What about the other guys? They're scoring more! That usually equals loss. The Leafs hold on. They barely hold on for most of the third period. A period where the Kings outshot the Leafs 16-7. And it's a deflection goal from Alex Laferriere that Hildeby has no chance on, and it's tied. The Leafs nearly didn't even get to overtime because they've lost their minds. Like Jake McCabe. How nails was Jake McCabe last season? How nails was Jake McCabe a couple weeks ago? The puck squirts in front with less than a minute left and he takes a football punt at the thing? Not even the side of his skate, the toe of his skate? And Hildeby is forced to make an amazing save with like half a minute to go against one of his own guys. Luckily, it does get to overtime. The Leafs secure a point in the standings. And for the fourth period in this game, the Kings outshoot the Leafs. This time, 1-0. 35 seconds in, at least they didn't make you feel like they really had a chance. Quinn Byfield scores in Toronto, salutes the crowd because he had fans supporting him in the crowd. Hooray! Kings win. A game that they dominated, just ask them. Aren't you humiliated? Aren't you over this? Oh, you know, the Toronto fans and the pressure of playing here. Man, I don't know if you could possibly live up to the standard of fans expecting you to not get outshot by 22 on home ice. And by the way, the Leafs have played like a third of their home games this season. A third. They're so screwed, dude. I don't think it's unreasonable to be like, enough's enough. Like, already. The Leafs have to do something tomorrow. Oh, they're getting Joseph Wool back. I kept hearing, well, they're getting Joseph Wool back. What is that going to accomplish? Dennis Hildeby was arguably the Leafs' best player tonight. And getting a goalie back is going to be the be-all, end-all savior? You know how good Joseph Woll would have to be in order for the Leafs to win this game, getting outshot 37-15? Well, Matthews was out. How many guys have the Bruins been missing and beaten the Leafs twice? How many guys were the Hurricanes missing and they beat the Leafs? They stink! They stink! This cannot persist. You cannot continue. That's enough. Whatever you need to do. I'm not asking you to take a big swing. I know those things take time. I need something out of you. We went into the season going, you know what? Thank goodness the Leafs are not going to go with Domi in the middle, McMahon and Robertson as a line. They're not going to have that as their third line. It was their second line tonight! David Kampf is allowing the Leafs to just poof, let his contract go. The Leafs could legitimately use him right now, but I guess, I don't know, he was hurt enough by not making the team out of camp and having to suffer through the indignation of making nearly $2.5 million to play in the American Hockey League. He got a signing bonus that I assume the Leafs are not going to make him give back so that he can go and be paid to play hockey as a millionaire somewhere else. I'm going to go ahead and guess in division. It's going to be Boston. It's going to be Boston. They could not trade this player. All they get for him is cap space. But I would say something better than cap space right now would be the ability to have an NHL center who can sort of play defensively. If I was Brad Treliving, first of all, I'd be calling everyone. Second of all, I'd be upset too. You had a perfectly fine, A-OK, top half, maybe top 10 decor in the NHL. And the proof is in the pudding. Here's how many chances we give up. Here's how our goalies handle them. Yeah, we give up a lot of volume, but not a lot of quality, and that's why we win games. 52 of them! You go into the season with the exact same decor, down to like the 6, 7, 8, 9 guys, and you're awful! Awful! One defenseman, has played better this season than he did last, and it was Oliver Ekman-Larsson. If last year you could tell me one thing about this year's roster, only one thing, and that one thing was Oliver Ekman-Larsson is awesome again, I'd be like, oh, they're in first place. They might be contending for the President's Trophy. Nope, might miss the playoffs. I'll straight up say, how dare you take the ice with a product like that? I've watched the Leafs lose lots of games over the years. You can lose games. It's the NHL. You're going to lose games. Between regulation and overtime, last year's first place in the division Leafs team lost 30 games. You are going to lose games. You cannot take the ice with this product. People are paying for this. Oh my goodness! The goaltending's been bad overall this season. Dennis Hildeby gave the Leafs every opportunity to win this game. If you're expecting a goalie to come in and be the savior of the season, I think you're barking up the wrong tree. These guys are not good enough. It's hard to change personnel. You gotta try. Because how much longer can this continue before you have to gas the coach? He doesn't deserve it. It's that or you just do nothing. You don't solve many problems by doing nothing. This is a bad season to be bad, man. Forget the fact that you don't have a first-round pick this season or next season. It's an Olympic schedule, condensed. Guess what? You got a game Saturday. Ooh, and then you get 2 days off. Guess what? Game Tuesday, game Thursday, game Saturday. You have to figure it out, and you have to figure it out now. And I don't think that's an unreasonable request. This is the National Hockey League, the best hockey league in the world. Yeah, there's a salary cap. There is a salary cap, but good news. You have more resources than any hockey team in the world. How many executives you got in that front office? Oh, you got a whole analytics staff. For the whole Leafs organization, I know it's hard, but lucky for you, that's why you make the big bucks. Go ahead. Come on. Show us what you got. The Leafs lost to the Panthers the Panthers went on that weird press tour where they talked about how much pressure the Leafs have. The Leaf fans were blamed for that loss all summer long. And now they take to the ice after jacking their prices with a far inferior product. And we should all watch our tempers, lest everyone thinks us unreasonable. One of the most shocking teams in professional sports. Unbelievable. That is it for this one. Thank you very much for watching. Click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. Tell all your friends. I would like to enjoy a Toronto Maple Leafs team that plays Toronto Maple Leafs games where the team most excited to play in Toronto is the Maple Leafs.